Fisher.
Yeah, it's kind of screwed up, wasn't it? We wanted it to be that way. John Fisher,
Brandon Stokes.
and we got Bud Tender.
Aaron. In the back.
You got to give it up, Aaron.
Hi.
Thank you, Bud Tender. Aaron in the back. It's Friday night. What's today? The 9th, May the 9th, 2025. We're coming to you live. We're not really ready, but that's okay. We don't care. We weren't worried about perfection. We were worried about protection. And that's what this is about to a big degree. I don't know if you guys are aware, but in the state of Alabama, there's a senator by the name of Tim Melson. Senator Melson has introduced and now had passed through both houses, House Bill 445. And House Bill 445 essentially in the state of Alabama will regulate hemp and ban many hemp products from people that are already getting them and using them now, basically. The bill goes forward. There was a lot of shenanigans right at the last few minutes about when it was passed and how it was passed. And we'll get into some of that. We'll talk about the whole process because I want you guys to know the truth. I want the citizens of Alabama and the people that listen and use and everything else, cannabis products, I want them to understand what happens in Montgomery, and I want the people that do these things, I want them to be, I want people to know. I guess that's how we're going to put it. I want people to know what goes on. But essentially, this bill is now sitting on the governor's desk, and she has a couple of more days to sign it potentially and make it law. If it does, to cut to the chase, smokable hemp flower will be outlawed in the state of Alabama. Products will be capped at 10 milligrams per item. So now we sell, like in our store here, we have gummies that are 25 milligrams, 40 milligrams. They'll be capped at 10, so we'll have to get rid of all those products and reformulate and have people that only purchase 10. But at least we'll have that, right? One thing that will be, definitely will be legal are hemp drinks, and that's kind of how we, I believe, got here with this legislation. Thank you, Mr. Elliott and company. And we'll talk a little bit about that because I think it's important for people to know. And we thank Habit for being a big Habit for being a big sponsor
really
and for being a big proponent of ours over the years. And let's put a pause on that for a second. We'll get back to Tim Melson and those guys, but Brandon Stokes, and he looks like he's not paying attention, guys, but he is. But he's over here working real hard on the stream and everything. But let me introduce you to Brandon. I met him almost a year ago. And was highly impressed. Yeah, get over here. Highly impressed with his knowledge of what I call product, and not only product but process. Everything that goes into the hemp industry. And let me be clear: everything that we discuss on this show, we are referring to 2018 Farm Bill compliant hemp-derived products. We are not talking about marijuana. We are only talking about legal Farm Bill compliant products. So let's just begin it with that. Brandon, how did you discover the whole world of hemp and really get in this 6 or 7 years ago before it became something?
Shoot, it's been a journey for real, but all my life I've been, not the healthiest person in terms of getting, sick and stuff, but I've always been a connoisseur of cannabis, and it's definitely something for not just getting high, but for the medication side of it. And I always, but being in the state of Alabama, it's always been frowned upon, and it's not the best outlook. But
now wait a minute, you said something. You said not just for recreational, I guess. You said medicine too.
Medicine.
What do you mean by that?
For sleeping, inflammation, if you have any kind of illness you might have that is causing you pain, CBD, CBN, and CBC all help with that, and they all are in the cannabis plant. And the main thing is, when the cannabis plant, cannabis and hemp, marijuana and hemp are the same plant, but the only thing that differentiates them is the fact that marijuana exceeds that 0.3% limit that the Farm Bill allows us. So whenever hemp is grown the right way with the right CBC, CBN, CBG, and THCA, you get a cerebral healing effect that comes full body. You know, it's really something else, and people just really sleep on hemp. They really focus on the wrong sides of it. They focus on things that they shouldn't be focusing on with the hemp.
Right, and you know, the funny thing is, and the more we talk about it, the more people understand it, it's really interesting to watch their eyes open. But here we are, you have the legislature in Alabama. You can choose marijuana or hemp, right? You have two products, and they're gonna legalize one and make the other one illegal or criminalize it. And as Brandon, you just said, what's the difference between hemp and marijuana?
The hemp and marijuana is that 0.3% limit that they allow in the Farm Bill 2018.
Right.
So anything under 0.3% of Delta 9 concentration, and of any by the dry weight, it is considered hemp. And anything over that would be considered marijuana.
And what's funny is if anybody knows anything about marijuana or hemp, Delta 9 is what makes you high, right? That's the one that gives you the head high. Hemp has, and Brandon said it twice, I'm going to say it again just so we all can hear this. Hemp has less than 0.3% of THC Delta 9. Damn near none. Sorry, whoops, we're not on the air. We're not the SEC here.
Yeah.
But damn near no Delta 9. Almost none. Less than 0.3%. But yet the legislature is fighting so desperately to ban this and push you towards medicinal marijuana. You got to start asking the questions of why. Why would politicians, or why would anybody want to deny someone access to something that barely can get you high, but will help your whole body, mind and soul, your emotions, your physical? I mean, why would anybody want that? Why would they want to stop you from having access to that? Well, we all know the answer is money. I mean, just the bottom line. And you've heard it a million times, and we're kind of get off the subject, but big pharmaceutical companies know. I mean, well, look, you guys, let's face it, you know people, I know people, they're taking Paxil, they're taking Ambien to sleep, Xanax to calm down, to not be anxious. I mean, Wellbutrin, Lexapro, let's just go down the list, you know them all. Or you're taking 2 shots of whiskey when you come home, right? Yeah. Everybody's medicating. And I digress. But the point being, in Alabama, they're trying to ban hemp, make it illegal, and it's the least of the 2 alternatives that are going to cause the problem. And you go back and ask the question why, and it comes down to money. And money is a lot of things for a lot of different people. How long have you been in this business?
Going on 5, almost 6 years now. Going on 5 to 6 years now, and
how has it changed in 6 years?
it has changed a lot. It's just like a computer. Every time you look up, there's something. The science is caught up so much, but that's the thing. The laws haven't, and so even though everything's up to par on our end, the law isn't up to par. So it's the part. It really gets affecting whenever you've got a way to make sure your COAs are good. You checking IDs. You're making sure that you're like checking every corner. But then you have someone who has an authority, and then they say they don't care what your COA say.
Yeah. So and you mentioned COA, and what is a COA?
A COA is a certificate of analysis. It tells you the origin of the hemp plant and how it's hemp.
And why is that even important?
Because it tells them that it's hemp, and that's what defines it as hemp, and that's what protects it under the Farm Bill.
And so, if you are a retail store,
yeah,
you order products.
you verify the COAs, you get the COAs, and when you get the COAs, you print out the COAs for the product, so when it leaves the store, it's marked with that COA and labeled.
So I mean, you can't, you get a certificate of analysis. Who does that? Who issues that?
DEA certified labs.
So you got a laboratory that has been certified, approved by the DEA, the U.S., right? DEA,
And
to issue that certificate.
Third party as well, so the companies that are growing aren't testing themselves.
So it's a third-party lab, disinterested from the grower,
Yeah.
who has no stake in what happens to the product. They just test it,
Yeah.
right? And you receive the product with a certificate that says what? What does it tell you?
It tells you all about the hemp. It tells you the cannabinoids. It tells you
All the different, whatever's in
it
it.
tells you whatever's in it. It tells you when they tested it, the grow date. It tells you who the farm was. It tells you all the oranges you would need to know where it came from.
Pretty specific information, right?
Yeah, pretty specific.
And that way you would think that if there was a problem, they make it so specific, they're so detailed, you would think that if there was a problem, they want all that information to go back to whoever supplied it, whoever grew it or tested it, right, so they can find out what happened. But apparently, that's not always what happens. But as a retailer, you depend on that COA, don't you?
Oh yeah. You need this.
Does anybody, or does the law or anybody require a store owner or a retail location to do any step further? Like you get a certificate of analysis from a DEA certified lab and it says this is hemp. Do they require you to then send it to another lab to get a second verification?
Once it's been deemed as hemp, it's hemp.
So that's why in Alabama, the Department of Agriculture has to be present when they harvest the plant.
Yeah.
And they test it, it has to be tested within 14 days, and Brandon's right. Right then and there, when they harvest the plant, they test it, and if it has less than 0.3% of Delta-9 THC, it's hemp. And once it's hemp, it's always hemp. It doesn't change. There's no second test a year later to see if it's still hemp. It's always hemp. That's a pretty important point, isn't it?
Yeah, and it definitely scares the people who don't like hemp or cannabis in general, because it's caught up so much that it's so much more clean, healthy. You're not going on the street buying something you don't know what it is. You're getting something with the DA certified lab that tells you exactly how much of whatever cannabinoid you're interested in. And you're not getting pesticides, you're not getting sprayed stuff. Everything's up to the par.
It's all pharmaceutical, lab-grade created products, right? The same kind of stuff you would buy at any drugstore or any pharmacy anywhere in the country. It's all the same. They're made. Some of them are actually made in the same building side by side, but you wouldn't necessarily know it. How do we get a link to this so I can send it out to somebody?
Yeah, I'll send you right now. So a lot of people
that's what I got him for. He's good at that.
And my phone just died, but not, and also while the war warm, yeah.
Bang.
And I'm gonna email this to you. I'm gonna email it to you. But since we're warmed up, but people don't realize that they're not just regulating the hemp in Alabama. That's not what they want to do, because regulation would be awesome when it comes to having the certificate of analysis for each flower designated and they go straight out the door. It would also be nice when every store would check IDs and verify IDs with that verify scanner, and not to mention, and
Well, everything you just said. First of all, let's be clear, because when legislators say that hemp is unregulated, that's a lie. First of all, the fact that hemp has been defined by the 2018 Farm Bill means it's regulated. So we have a definition of it, and we have a Department of Agriculture, not just in D.C., but we have one in Alabama, and they certify whether a product is hemp or not. And they have an entire certification process and what happens if it is or it is not. So let's get out of the world of we're not regulated. We are regulated. And right now, there's a law in the state of Alabama that makes it a crime to sell hemp products to anyone under 21 years of age. Both of those are on the books, but senators like Tim Nelson want you to believe that that's not true. Because why? They stand there in the pulpit, or I'm sorry, the well. Did I say pulpit? Oh, I'm sorry. A Freudian slip, I guess. But they stand there in the pulpit, the well, and they tell you that everything they're doing is to save the kids. Save the kids, save the kids, save the kids. We all know that's a farce. Let's just stop. I've had this conversation with politicians for decades. If you want to save the kids, take alcohol out of gas stations, and don't sell it on Friday and Saturday nights. Let's try that for a start, if you want to save the kids. But no, hell no, we're not going to do that, because alcohol's got too much lobbying money, and they never let it happen. And we get that. But no, this was all about money, and we'll get to that too. You working on that?
Yeah, I sent you a link through the email.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You sent me a link to my email. If I wasn't a caveman, I would know that already. Aaron, you with us back there?
Not alive.
Aaron's back there live. Brandon, I don't know, which email did you send it to? Here we go.
But them banning smokable hemp wouldn't just affect the stores, it would affect millions of people in Alabama. Because it would affect a lot of people.
Did y'all hear that? Say it again, Brandon. I don't think folks heard you, bro.
It's smokable hemp. That means any kind of vape that you like, any kind of flower, anything like that. It's all gone. And not to mention that they would cap the gummies. And it's just ironic that the drinks are allowed.
Well, it's not really ironic, Brandon. You and I both know that. It's not ironic because there were some people behind the scenes pulling strings. And I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sending out links to the show now that we have it. So, y'all please forgive me. But, no, it's not ironic because when things are purposeful, it's not irony. It's someone else's their doings. And that's what's happening in Alabama. And I have a personal story that I want to get to eventually, but I want Brandon to be heard as well because this is affecting his life just as much as everyone else's. He's been in this business for many years. He has built a name and a reputation. He has a family. His mother even has a store, and for several years has run it very successfully, and they're good at what they do. But people like Tim Nelson don't care. They don't understand. In fact, Tim Nelson's never spent probably a minute in a dispensary or a retail shop anywhere in the state of Alabama. Don't you find that sad? The guy that is spearheading the legislation to direct your life and mine, the guy that is out there directing your life, telling you what you can and cannot do, has never once been in a store. In the state of Alabama. Now, I don't know what they do when they go to Colorado and snow ski it to where it's all legal and everything. You know how the rich people, they go out of town when they go party. I don't know what they do when they're out there. And when they're in South Korea, I have no idea what's happening in South Korea, y'all. But I bet Senator Melson does. But anyway, it's just amazing to me that people that have never experienced cannabis or used it or needed to or felt the need to or understood how much they need to, they're the ones that are driving the ship. And I find that so disingenuous from the standpoint of I used to be one of them. I used to be one of those guys. I was on a Republican executive committee for over a decade. And now that I've been removed from politics, and this is both parties, I am not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a no-crat. I'm a me-crat is what I am. And it doesn't matter. You get lost in the politics of everything, and you believe that you know better than everybody else, even though you represent a bunch of different people. And so people like Tim Nelson, I was one of them. You get caught up in it, and you think you know better than everybody. To the point that you don't even listen to the people that are begging you to hear the truth throughout all the lies that are in your head and being told to you. There are people out there like Brandon and his mother, and Sonia Lowry Levins, I'm sorry, I know you got both, Jennifer Boozer, Christian Butts. I could go on and on. You got some really cool people that have risked their lives and staked their lives on this industry. And the state of Alabama for the last 6 years has not done a damn thing to regulate it. And that's on you, Montgomery. That's on you. For 6 years, y'all sat back and you had the opportunity, and you didn't. You failed. And you allowed people for 6 years to get accustomed to having the right, and we're going to get into this because I think, Tim, you're wrong, but for 6 years you've allowed people to use something, and now you wake up, and because drink distributors and others want to control how much THC people can have and the ways that they can have it, you just abandon everything.
Yeah, and they're not just, they're just straight up banning it. They're not even trying to hide it. They snuck it in there. The way they did it was sneaky.
It was.
They're blaming the kids in the gas stations. Yet at the very end, they added an amendment in there to keep the drinks in the gas stations. The whole point of the thing.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy. You watch it and you're like, okay, yeah, but none of these people know what they're talking about. And then none of these people up there know anything about anything related to it besides the fact that they know that someone's paying them to say the opposite.
Yeah, and you saw it. You saw it happen right there. I mean, with 5 minutes before the session was up.
Yeah.
The whole session, the whole goal was to keep convenience stores from selling products to minors, or products that minors can have easy access to. And then at the last moment, at the 11th hour, Brandon, sitting there watching it with his own eyes, saw, I think it was Bobby Singleton, offer an amendment to add convenience stores. Now, Bobby, I'm curious about that one because, Bobby, just 2 weeks ago, you told me in your office, eye to eye, Bobby, you said that you would, and let me quote you because I'm good at this, Senator Nelson. You said, Bobby, you'll filibuster like hell before you let them ban hemp. That's what you told me, Bobby. Now, I love you and I respect you. You told me you would filibuster like hell before you let them ban hemp, Bobby Singleton. And guess what? I didn't hear any filibustering. I didn't hear any filibustering, Bobby. So I don't know what that means. But Brandon's right. You added an amendment right there at the last hour to add convenience stores back in. So you mean all this time there was a play to tell the people of Alabama we were going to get it out of the convenience stores, we were going to get it out of there, and then right at the last second, what happened?
They changed it back.
Stuck it back in.
So but they kept out the smokable hemp.
Right.
They made sure to keep that out. Yeah.
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 Oh, they took so the whole session they didn't lie to the public. We kept it out where we fought, and then at the last second they let it back in. Isn't it funny how that stuff just happens?
Yeah, and it's just. I mean, you think about it. It's just like they're not just
You're watching it. It's like kabuki theater right there.
And then no one knows. Like, no, I ask people, I'm like, did y'all know they're trying to ban smokable hemp? And they're like, no, they're just trying to get out of gas stations. I'm like, no.
Yeah, that's what they told you.
That's what everyone thinks. That's what you talk to someone about it who saw something that they read on Facebook. Right. And that's what they know is that they know that they're trying to get it out of gas stations for kids. Well, now it's back. It's there, and but it's just.
But you saw it happen. And then you wonder why people are so cynical of politics, Brandon. You saw it, and it makes sense now. Oh yes, everybody would get behind it if we were going to keep it out of convenience stores and keep it away from kids. Everybody will support that. So then when they get everybody to say they support the bill, what do? They hit it with the amendment in the last second to add the convenience stores. Man, that's just that's an interesting play. So if the bill goes into effect, essentially July the 1st, but first we have to say Governor Ivey has the bill on her desk, and she does not have to sign this bill into law. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But Brandon, what happens July 1st if it goes into effect? It's saying I'm not going to hold you to be an expert to the freaking brand new law that these idiots don't even understand. But essentially what will happen to the store?
That I know of it so far is that anything smokable and anything that's over the 10 milligrams is off the shelves. And I think they even throw something in there that if it's not made in Alabama, that they.
Well, I don't think that was added.
You don't think
at
that
one point it was.
Oh man, that would have been terrible. That would have been terrible because then basically the only people that profit from that are the ones already making it in Alabama.
Right, the guys with the licenses. But that's what I mean. This is a 100 milligram drink from Habit, which is a great company, makes really good products. They're really good people. And the very idea that if I want to have a 100 milligram THC drink, today I can. But if this bill is signed into law, July the 2nd, I cannot. I would have to have 10 drinks from the rich drink beverage distributor to make 100 milligrams. Of course, that guy's pushing the legislation because he makes more money. If he can take smokable flower off the shelves and he can limit the product content to 10%, if people want to get any kind of impact from THC, they're going to have to drink his drinks and drink a lot more of them. That's a pretty good math equation. I always said follow the money, and it makes sense. You know, let me just tell you, I became acquainted with cannabis 5-6 years ago when I moved to Hawaii. I had my knee replaced, and I really don't do narcotics. I'm not addicted to them or anything like that, but they just don't do much for me. And when I was in Hawaii, I had doctors, white guys like me. Yes, honey, I said white guys. My wife's gonna scream when she hears me say, white guys. But yeah, white guys just like me, right? And they told me to go to the marijuana doctor and treat my pain. And I thought this was odd because I knew if we were back in the States, they wouldn't see it. And they both, one of which was a UAB grad. I won't mention his name. I'm going to tell you what, one of the best freaking doctors that God could have ever provided. Saved my life in a big way, no joke. But anyway, I became familiar with cannabis. And when they were passing the medicinal cannabis law here in Alabama, Senator Melson and I had been put in contact with one another, and we traded information. And I thought, yeah, you know, I guess I was naive. I thought that I was white and privileged. Not real rich, but pretty comfortable. Educated lawyer, if you will. I thought that Tim Melson, being an educated doctor, you know, he and I got that piece of paper on the wall. I thought that made us on the same team. And then the fact that we were Republicans, well, heck, dang, we're about brothers. And then now we're Christians. Well, we're damn near related by blood and marriage if we're Christians too, right? So I just felt like I had a connection with him, and I really felt like he listened to me. But then 5 years later, I see that we're still embattled in a quagmire of political BS, and it looks like that it was all about money and wrangling and licenses, and that somebody got their ass hurt because they didn't get their license, so they told the judge, and the judge made them give them one, and now everything's all good again. I don't know. But you know, I just thought that Senator Melson was listening to me. I don't know. I forgot that it was. I did. I forgot it was politics. I thought it was real. I thought this was real person, real people. And so when I moved back, I found myself in the middle of all this stuff, and I reached out to Senator Melson and had a wonderful conversation with him. I really did. I had a wonderful conversation. And Senator, I thank you for it. Because I really went up there to make a difference. I went up there to make a difference. And I'll take a break. I went up there to make a difference for people like Brandon and his mom, for Jennifer Boozer, for Christian Butts, for Sonia, Lowry, Levins, you know, guys like that, Melissa Mullins. There are people all over this state that for years now have walked on this gray area edge with the threat of somebody coming in and arresting you or shutting your business down because of all the uncertainty related to hemp, and not uncertainty, just the damn ignorance, let's just put it that way. Law enforcement and everybody. And so, these guys have been out there unprotected, unregulated from Alabama's standpoint because the state has failed to do anything about it. But yet, responsibly have run their businesses in such a way that they regulated themselves and imposed a 21 and older regulation on all their products when the state wouldn't do it. But Brandon, tell people in a typical day, who comes into your store? I mean,
it is variety. We get 50 to 70 in this area, but it goes literally from 25 to literally 70.
Oh, come on. What about this morning?
Yeah, this morning the two older ladies.
Please.
Two older ladies, one
This is what Governor Ivey needs to know, which is the truth. You don't need to hear this BS that Tim Melson and that clown, what's that, Andy Witt?
Yeah.
What a buffoon. To the moron Andy Witt that needed rubber gloves to hold one of these up because it might contact you.
But
It's a good thing that we're drinking him. But I'm just telling you, Mr. Witt, stop. You're a clown. And here's to you, Andy Witt. Now, back to you, Brandon. This morning, two ladies. What was it?
two older women, 60 in their 60s,
Come on,
70s.
man.
I
I'm
mean,
in my 50s,
yeah,
bro.
they
Come on.
they were older. And they were happy with you. But you would have to tell them the story about how they.
An older lady came in. Her son lives in Colorado. She said she had a pinch of one of his gummies, and she'd never slept better in her life. Listen at that. She's in her mid-70s, had a pinch of a real gummy, never slept better in her life. Could I help her? Do you have anything in here like that? I said, no. We have 2018 Farm Bill compliant gummies, so let me explain. And we had a great visit, didn't we?
Yeah, they were here for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Almost. That was crazy.
It was, but it was good. But they wanted to know. And so they left with a couple of products, and they went home and they tried one and came back this morning.
Yeah.
And they said they each ate what they had, and at 40, she said at 45 minutes we looked at each other and we just giggled.
Yeah.
And my heart warmed, man.
And most
they giggled.
And everyone, like you said, everyone does come in here for two things. They come in here to sleep, and they have pain.
Yes.
It's like if you can get those two things away, and most people are so fucked up on the stuff they get from the doctor that they get in here and they get one gummy and then they're relieved. They're like, oh my God, I don't have to take any of that shit anymore.
Right.
They get relieved, and then we're like, you know what? You can actually do the tinctures, and you can put it in your tea, and you can do it that way, and you don't have to take a gummy every day.
Right.
We have some that don't have no what is it? Like high cortisol.
Oh, for high fruit. Dude.
Yeah, I can't. It's
You
like
can't spray that one on me, bro.
Yeah,
you gotta warm it up.
but we use
High
tapioca
fructose,
gummies.
Yeah, we have some with no high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah.
Because we have some people come in here that don't. Well, look, it ain't me. Don't worry. But they got some non-GMOers that come in here, and we love y'all. So we got tapioca syrup, right? Or tapioca.
Yeah.
Well, tapioca pudding. Tapioca sugar.
And they're good too. They're good too.
So what was your point?
Oh no, I was just
Did we lose it?
we lost. We kind of strayed aside, but but seriously, yeah, freaking oh yeah, on change.org, there's a petition. You can go on there and sign it to basically remind Governor Ivey that we would not like this bill to be signed because it would affect everybody and it would backlash the intercommerce and everything. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of things. If this law takes effect, no joke, there's a lot of things. I think you're going to have constitutional issues from religious freedoms. now that I have a religious freedom moment with Brandon, he gone. We used to school sometimes. Well, here he comes. Sometimes you got to take care of stuff. But I'll just tell you all this. Just a little window into my world. When I started using cannabis for pain medication, I was also drinking about a fifth of whiskey a week, maybe. And you know, you don't realize how much you're drinking or what you're doing. And then a lot of times you do stupid shit. You know that, and I know that. That's don't get me on. But when I started using cannabis or marijuana medically, and see, I hate saying medically because I think that's just a farce. That's a man-made term. It's not medically or recreational. It's just marijuana. It is what it is. So when I started using cannabis or marijuana for pain management, which was when I had my knee replaced, and if you've ever had one replaced, you'll know exactly why the hell I was looking for something. Some things happened. I stopped drinking, but I didn't quit drinking. I just quit thinking about drinking. And for a guy that was going through a fifth of whiskey a week, that was very telling. As I told Senator Nelson, and he didn't seem to care, you know, or he either didn't care or didn't believe me. And I don't know which one is worse, but I told him that since I started, using cannabis, and I smoke cannabis, I cannot, gummies, some people vape. Brandon, what's your deal? You a vapor?
I can't do any of it right now.
Oh, that's right.
But I do I am a connoisseur, and just because I can't do it doesn't mean I don't know anything about it. I love them all, but there's yeah, if I like CBC and CBN with the THCA, and I think people really like that combination.
And see, for me, the delivery system is what makes a difference for me. I can't do tinctures. I cannot do anything that goes through my stomach. Just really doesn't give the same impact that smoking flower does, and vaping doesn't do the same thing for me. And I realized that was actually the purest, most natural way to use cannabis or marijuana, or we could just say plant-based medicine or botanical medicines, right? I mean, it's all the same, right?
Yeah.
I mean, marijuana is no different than a pepper plant or anything else. It's a plant. And so I came away from it with an interesting perspective, because I found this verse in the Bible. I don't know if you can see it or not. Yeah, baby. Brandon's probably got some cool graphic thing he could have done, but instead I did this.
I'm working on it. Next time it'll just be on the screen.
But no.
Hopefully, we get past these next few days with this hemp, because it's, there's a conversation that they can have that's not as dramatic as banning it just right off the bat. Like, it's one thing trying to do is regulate it, but it's also being sneaky and lying to people, like John's saying. Like,
yeah, I mean, we want regulation.
Yeah, regulation. We want. Yes.
We want you to restrict access to stores that are 21 and up, where people can't get in that shouldn't be in. We want all that stuff too. But there's no need to ban anything. And that was what I was telling Senator Nelson. I believe it's a God-given right. Genesis 1:29 says, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them as food." I believe God said that. And if we as Christians or Republicans or conservatives or Democrats or whatever, if we're going to rely on the Word of God, then we need to read it and rely on the entire Word of God, not just the part that suits you or your party. Because I know a lot of people like to stump on the right to life, being rooted in "thou shalt not murder" or "thou shalt not kill." Well, if that's the case, this says you shall have them as your food. All the yields from plants and seeds and trees with fruit and the seed and everything in between. So, it became what I believe is a religious right. And you get tired eventually of people eroding things from you that God gave you, and I don't want to get way too far off the field.
And I know we don't have many viewers right now, but we appreciate everyone that's watching. And this will move it. This will make some waves in the future. But any store owners or any business owners that would like to get their voice out and would like to come on for an interview, we can. If you're local, you come see us, and we'll have a conversation over the table. Or if you want to do over, cam to cam, get your word out for your store, or what county you're in Alabama. Even if you're not in Alabama, Texas is fighting the hemp as well. All of us, so every state.
And that's the thing, everybody should, because it should be a natural right that we all. The government shouldn't be able to restrict our right to something.
Yeah.
Where does it stop? Where do they cut down pine trees in your front yard next? I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but it's a plant. And at what point do you say, "Hey guys, you don't have the right to tell me or do that"? And if every day the people that I know that I go to work with, lawyers, bankers, teachers, doctors, they go home and every one of them either drinks a couple of glasses of wine, has a couple of glasses of whiskey, or they pop a Xanax or a Valium. Why the hell can't I smoke a joint? I mean, Brandon, am I crazy?
No, I mean, it's wild to think about, for real.
I mean, every day, isn't it? I mean, movies back in the 50s and 60s, right? The man comes home from work and pours up a couple of scotches, right? I mean, people don't they still have happy hours?
They have happy hours.
Come by on your way home, right? People leave work and go do what? Have a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
Because we've had a shitty day. Well, why do you get on my back if I want to smoke a joint? Why do they get on my back?
Well, I think is a lot to do is also as a local law enforcement. They're not as able to make as many arrests confidently because they know that there's a difference between hemp and marijuana, and sometimes they don't care that there's a difference. They just get it. They want an arrest, like particularly where we are, Baldwin County. They have a color code system. It's all money. If they can't pull you over and give you some type of term, then what's the point of pulling you over? So for them, it is money in Baldwin County, and it's very sad because they love their forfeiture cases.
Well, we were talking earlier, you were talking about the two ladies that came in. They never had an experience really, and they found relief for sleeping. And they actually bought a 6-pack, if you will, of the product. But Brandon, do you have, those ladies just happened to find us. They were they were looking, right? And they saw it. But do you, over the 5 or 6 years y'all been doing this, do you have regular customers?
Yeah, there's a lot of regulars, and I've had a lot of, and the only reason I am even as informed as I am is because of the cancer patients that came into my store to tell me more about something that I didn't know about,
Thank you.
So when they, I'm just a sponge just like everyone else is. And when someone comes in there who is dying and they're telling me that this works for them, which is CBD, CBN, CBC, mixed with THCA and all that other stuff, it helps them. And that's what it is. And
at first you were pure CBD store, but then a guy came in and said, "Can you get this?" and had the THCA. Right?
Yeah, an older gentleman with his his son was probably 28. The guy was, older, and he had cancer. And he came in the store, and he was telling me, and he informed me, and he told me about how THC or Delta 8 is making waves in the and the cancer scene. And
that was back in the day.
That was in 2000. That was in 2020. It was a while. It was a long time ago. 5 years ago. And
just for the record, 5 years ain't a long damn time.
Cancer. I mean, and
so this guy comes in and he shares with you, and who knows where he learned it from, right? But he's got cancer, and he's telling you what. This is the audacity of the people in Montgomery that don't listen to people. A dying cancer patient is telling Brandon what gives him relief, right? Because you got asshats in Montgomery that are trying to take the very thing that this dying man was finding relief in. You have asshats in Montgomery trying to take that away because we gotta keep the children safe. I mean, does that ever piss you off?
It does.
Let's just
it does.
get it down to what
I mean, it does, because it's like, we go above and beyond, and then, it's one thing, but then.
But you learned from this guy, and then so you applied that over the years, and it made you successful, and you had regular customers. What makes somebody a regular? Why does somebody come back to you? What do they, think of don't give me a name, but think about a regular customer, and what do they tell you that they are back for? Why are they regular?
Because we're nice to them, we help them, and what they're there for a reason. And when they come and they want to go to sleep, or they want to relax, or if they have anxiety that's literally piercing their personality, they want some relief from that. And whenever they're able to smoke a joint, take a gummy, do some tinctures, even animals. I don't know if you guys know this, but your animals are just as stressed out as you guys are. And whenever they need CBD, you can give it to them. And we have CBD that you can actually spray in the water or directly in their mouth or on top of their food. There's no need for anything else, and it helps out the dogs a lot. Especially if you ever see your dog clawing at their paws, you just know something's up.
Yeah, and that's one thing I learned from some
compounding pharmacists that dogs, or not dogs, just anything, any medicine that works on a human first worked on an animal. I mean, think about it, a rat or a mouse or whatever, because you can't start human trials until they progress so far successfully through the animal trials. And pretty much the animal system works just like ours, like Brandon said. You know, you got animals with anxiety, god dang, we got shit in our lives they do too. You ever been kicked like shit by some redneck with boots on every time you barked at something that God told you to go after? Well, think about it, be a dog, and every time you bark, some asshole's kicking you with a set of boots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you got this really keen hearing and fireworks go off and it sounds like it's 400 times louder to you than it is everybody else in the room. I mean, we get it. Does this stuff help?
Yeah.
I mean, do you see people come in and talk about their pets?
Yeah.
And what do they say? When they come in, what are they looking for?
They're looking to chill the pet out.
Right.
You know? And sometimes, sadly, the animal is passing away because they're 10, 15 years old. And the CBD also helps with that as well.
You know, and people appreciate it. And that's what makes them regulars. And that's what makes them come back. You know, I've been in this business with Brandon now for just about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, I'm very humble. You know, I was a lawyer still am, have been for 29 years, but actively every day practicing for 24 years. And, you know, you really felt like you were doing something for somebody. You were fighting for somebody, you're trying to level the field, somebody's been hurt or injured, or they've been accused of something. And, you know, when you were able to help somebody, you really felt when someone would tell you how appreciative they were, right? Let me tell you something. The 6 weeks I've been sitting here, I'm going to tell y'all right now. We have people coming here almost every day that tell us how much they appreciate what we allow them to have access to, the questions that Brandon can answer, the products that we can put in front of them. I mean, they literally come in here and they thank us for just being here. I mean, and I know what grateful is. I stood next to a kid who was about to find out if he was going to be guilty or not guilty and go to prison literally for the rest of his life. And I stood next to him when he found out he was not guilty. And I know what appreciation feels like. These people come in here, man, they appreciate us every single day, right? We hear story after story. And the very idea that you have people in the legislature, we were talking about earlier, they've never been in a damn store like this. They don't hear these. Brandon, do you think Senator Tim Nelson, if he spent a day in one of the stores that you own, or even this one, do you think that one day in a store would give him a different perspective?
I think so.
Why? What?
Because he would see people come in that he would not expect to see come in.
Right.
Let's just say that. Like, everyone thinks that you're just gonna see a bunch of like young people come in here, stoners,
right?
come in here, and it's not like that at all. Like, some of these people you would not even know. They, you know. But
No, go ahead.
no, there's just a lot of people you wouldn't expect to
Dude, what he's
enjoy
trying to tell
cannabis.
you, look,
as much.
he's a young kid in the room, right? I don't give a shit. You see old and young, white, black, brown of every brown and yellow you can find and think, white of every pink and whatever damn shade of peach we are, right? Everybody, rich and poor. I got a former police chief that buys from us. A former police chief. Now, do you think that guy thinks it's a good idea for these assholes in Montgomery to ban flower? Not when he's coming here buying it from us to smoke, I don't think. I mean, it's the people that we are here for is what has gotten me really pissed off. Because like I said, I used to think I knew what people were when it meant they appreciated something. But now, me personally, Brandon, after having dude, look at this big hole in my freaking, y'all can't see it. Look at that big dent. Dude, I'm kind of weird. I'm not gonna make you tell me. Look at that, it's gone, bro. And I mean, the very idea that I was able to cope with this medically with cannabis, and the fact that some jackass is gonna tell me that I can't do that. What's up with that?
So I don't know if we talked about it, but what about this $100 million
Oh,
facility that
yeah.
is
No, this is kind of interesting.
recently acquired?
Yeah, there's supposedly, let's suppose, a guy with a lot of money builds a facility outside of Mobile, Uh-oh, is that your wife or mine? Okay. If mine calls, I know I'm in deep shit, because I said something I probably shouldn't have said. Let's see. Yeah.
But save hemp in Alabama.
What about it?
No, save it. Save him.
What did I say?
No, save him.
Save him?
Save him.
Save him.
Yes, in Alabama.
In Alabama.
For real.
Am I supposed to say?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Whoa, okay, well.
No, I was just looking at you because I'm just like.
Did I say something? that I'm
No,
not
no,
supposed to say?
no,
Okay,
no,
cool.
you're
All right.
good.
No.
I was just looking. We've been on air for an hour,
Oh, we've been on,
But-
sorry, we've been on the air for an hour.
but
Is that a bad thing?
no, it's good. We
Oh, it's
appreciate
9
everyone.
o'clock. Oh, mom's calling because we gotta go home.
We appreciate everyone checking in with us for real. Like, we're gonna next week it's gonna get a little bit better quality. We'll have
What do you mean better? Aaron.
yeah.
Don't look at me for that one.
We'll,
Quality.
like I said, and if you want to be on the show, hit us up. We will we'll have some questions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
We'll
we're gonna get
This
more
is-
organized, but we just, time is of the essence.
Yeah, seriously. We just, I
Sign
mean,
the petitions.
you know,
Sign the
change.org, and then it is the Alabama hemp.
Save Alabama Hemp.
Yeah,
Is that right?
save Alabama hemp.
Change.org, save Alabama Hemp. Y'all, please get on board and go with us. We need you.
We appreciate here at East Bay Alternatives. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. We're very grateful. We thank God for each and every one of you.